Hi there, welcome back to the only YouTube channel that teaches you Cuban slang in English and in Spanish from Cuba. In today's lesson, you're gonna learn 10 phrases Cuban people use every single day. But before we get started, I would like to remind you 3 simple things. Thing number 1, if you start enjoying the content, give me a thumbs up. Thing number 2, subscribe to this channel. And thing number 3, don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you won't miss out my latest videos. Alright, let's get started at once. The first phrase that you're gonna learn today is this one, que hay. Now if you listen to me carefully, when I'm gonna pronounce this phrase, I don't say que hay. For sure, if you are a Spanish learner and you are at the beginner level, it's totally normal that you pronounce words separately. But because you wanna speak fluently, you should learn how to link words. So in this case, we got 2 words, que hay, and we need to link both words. Now, if you look at the second word here, it begins with the letter H. You probably know that this letter is mute in Spanish. It doesn't have any sound. So we gotta pronounce the next vowel. So in this case, we're gonna link the last vowel of the first word with the first vowel of the second word. So we would link e, a, que hay, que hay, que hay. This is a greeting. It means how is it going? For example, I'm walking on the street and I meet my friend Carlos and I say, ¿Qué hay, Carlos? And he says, ¿Qué hay, madre? So the second phrase is also a greeting. ¿Y entonces? ¿Y entonces? If we are gonna translate this greeting, it's like and so or simply so. Yes, we use this phrase number 1 as a greeting. For example, when I meet the same person 2 times in a day, or maybe I have met this person in the last 24 hours or 48 hours. For example, I already mentioned that I met my friend Carlos in the morning, but maybe at 2 p.m. I meet Carlos one more time, and instead of greet him saying, ¿Qué hay, Carlos? One more time, I would say, ¿Y entonces? And another way of using this phrase in Cuban slang is when we are having a conversation with somebody, but that conversation is interrupted for some seconds or maybe for some minutes. And when we're gonna resume having that conversation, we would use this phrase. Y entonces is a way of saying, and so what we were talking about? What was the last idea we mentioned before? Oh, y entonces? Our next phrase is related to a very common habit in Cuba. Hacer cola or hacer la cola. It means to queue or to form a line. So this is very important that you should know if you are planning to travel to Cuba. Whenever you approach a shop or store, tienes que hacer la cola para entrar a la tienda. You have to queue to come in the shop, or you have to form a line before you come in the store. The next phrase is a question that you have to ask when you're going to queue or to form a line in Cuba. ¿Quién es el último? ¿Quién es el último? And you're basically asking who is the last person in line. So imagine the scenario. You approach the shop or the store in Cuba and you see a lot of people in front of the store or in front of the shop, and you ask, ¿Quién es el último? ¿Quién es el último? ¿Quién es el último? Maybe a girl answers, it's me. So you know that you gotta follow that person. Then the last person in line would be you. So you gotta answer the same question later. Next phrase, avísame or me avisas. It's the same phrase. This phrase means let me know. For example, I met Carlos in the morning and he tells me that he's planning to have a party in his new house. He invites me to go to the party. So I tell him, avísame cuando darás la fiesta. Or, me avisas cuando darás la fiesta. Let me know when you'll have to party. Next one. Imagine you are going to buy something, maybe some food, and when you're gonna pay, you realize that, ay, mi madre, se me olvidó la billetera. In English, that would be, oh my god, I forgot my wallet. Ay, mi madre is a way of saying, oh my god. But instead of mentioning God, we are mentioning our mother, literally. Ay, mi madre. The next phrase is se me fue la mano. Se me fue la mano. And we use this phrase in two contexts. Context number one, imagine you're having a conversation with somebody, but you disagree in a point of the conversation, and the conversation becomes an argument, and maybe you offend the other person. And some time later, you start thinking about what happened, and you realize, oh, se me fue la mano. You think it wasn't necessary to offend the other person. So you recognize that you made a big mistake. Se me fue la mano. I made a big mistake. So context number two is very funny, because imagine you are cooking a meal, very delicious meal, and you start adding salt, but you don't try the meal. And when the meal is already done, you try it and you realize that, oh my God, se me fue la mano. Le eché mucha sal. I made a big mistake, I added too much salt. Next phrase is very simple. Una pila de. Una pila de. It means a lot of. For example, tengo una pila de cosas que hacer hoy. I got a lot of things to do today. Next phrase is very funny. I always love when I say it. Estoy pelado como un plátano. Means I have no money on me. So when you have no money on you, you say estoy pelado como un plátano. So imagine a friend of you asks you, may I borrow you $5? And you say estoy pelado como un plátano. I have no money on me. Next phrase, no te hagas el gracioso. Or if you're talking to a girl, you would say no te hagas la graciosa. In Cuban slang, gracioso or graciosa is someone who's always telling jokes or making practical jokes. So imagine one of your friends is a joker. He's always telling jokes and making this kind of jokes, and you know he's about to make you this kind of sick or practical jokes, and you stop him and say no te hagas el gracioso. It's not funny for me, don't dare to do that. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video up to the very end. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, and remember you can follow me on my Instagram, it's madre. I always have something new to tell you on my stories about Cuban food and about my daily life. Don't forget to support my other YouTube channel about natural cosmetics. I'll see you in my next videos. Bye bye!